What a great way to top off this day of anime of summer 2015 with World Trigger's new episode. The best way to describe this episode of World Trigger is setup and slow pacing, but that doesn't mean it's bad. But before I even get into this episode, I want to talk about an announcement that was done a couple of days ago, which I didn't talk about because I was waiting for this episode to come out before I actually decided to talk about this article. So on Anime News Network, about 2 to 3 days ago, there was an announcement that World Trigger is going to be getting another anime series. Now, hear me out. As we know, World Trigger is only going to be 50 episodes long. This anime series will be 50 episodes long. And from what I've been told from manga readers is that you shouldn't expect, getting to see the neighborhood and different things like that. We're just going to probably have this arc and then this anime is going to be concluded. And so I was wondering, okay, so a new anime series of World Trigger. I read the article. We come to find out that this new anime series of World Trigger is going to be anime original. So it's like they're doing a GT. That's kind of what Toei Animation is doing. They're going out of their way to do a GT. Like, you know how Dragon Ball GT, had no real manga or anything, and it was just written and all that as kind of filler, and, Dragon Ball Battle of Gods kind of rewritten history, and GT no longer exists? Well, that's kind of what's going on right now. World Trigger is going to be getting an anime original series with different characters or whatever, and a different type of story. I guess it's going to be following the exact same story as World Trigger, but from different characters. But I just wanted to mention that if you were unaware that World Trigger is getting another anime series, yeah, it's coming out. So this episode of World Trigger, to be honest with you, there's not really much to discuss, because the entire episode is just Osamu trying to figure out what tactics he wants to use against the enemy teams in the ranked wars, and also figuring out what type of opponents he's going to be going up against. And that's kind of what the main focus of this episode is. It was really just dragged out from start to finish of figuring out what Osamu wanted to do. For instance, finding out that he wanted this specific area to combat them in. And so, episode overall, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I liked the, celebration scenes, Osamu trying to think really hard of what he needs to do. There were some really good scenes in this episode, but it did feel a little bit extended too much when it came to me as an anime watcher. But I expect that because this is Toei Animation, and they're known for, doing stuff like that, so it's not really much of an issue. But it did kind of feel a little bit excessive in this week's episode, especially since, we're getting closer and closer towards the ending of the series. I at the very least want to see this type of filler, if it's going to be extended, in some of the action scenes, or, the thinking scenes with the strategy and stuff. But overall, nonetheless, the episode was good. I do like it a lot, and the setup of the episode does lead into a lot of potential for next week's episode of World Trigger, so can't wait to see where it's going to go. So, how was your thoughts about this episode? What was your favorite moment? How do you feel about Osamu, thinking really hard, staying up all night, trying to figure out what he wants to do? How do you feel about, the other teams trying to figure out what they can do against Osamu's team? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and how do you feel about that World Trigger news of an anime original series going to be coming out? Love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.